Boy, these guys are really great. I wonder if they'd be interested in having me, Ethan Van Sciver, on their show. I'm a comic book artist. I've done like a little Green Lantern, a little Flash, a little Batman. Honey, will you get me a beer? 9.9 Comics with Chris and Kyle's on, and I don't want to miss a minute.
I'm changing a diaper.
Hi, welcome to 9.9 Comics with Chris and Kyle.
I'm Kyle Fingerguns Roberts.
And I'm Chris. Today we'll be talking about collective comics getting released April 25th, 2018.
Correct. And today I'm going to start it out. And I'm just going to start off with Image, which is where you don't normally do this, but there's only one coming out for Image today, and that is Hit Girl issue 3. If you haven't been keeping up with Hit Girl, it's a really good read. Definitely holding up her name in this new Image universe, where Hit Girl basically captures a South American assassin to do her bidding for her, just because she wants a friend to because the other kick-ass she had, she keeps trying to get people to get kick-asses for her, and they keep running away and being afraid of it, and so she kidnaps an assassin, and it's fun. But that's it for Image. Moving on to Valiant with the releases, with the release of Shadow Man #2. Shadow Man, of course, was a super big deal. I mean, the last Shadow Man comic was a really long time ago. I can't remember the last time a new Shadow Man came out. Was it like 10 years ago, something like that? But anyway, he's a really big pivotal character in the Valiant universe. So it was good to see the #2 coming out for Shadow Man. I still haven't read it yet, but I'm going to be caught up in it later. But then, moving on to Dark Horse, we have Aliens, Dust to Dust, #1 of 4. So, this is a little synopsis about this. The Trono colony on LV-871 is under attack. Emergency evacuations are ordered. Evac shuttles are taking off. All 12-year-old Maxon and his mom have to do is make it to the spaceport. Except between them and it are aliens. A terrifying coming-of-age story by master storyteller Gabriel Hardman. So all you Alien fans out there, I know Matt will be stoked about this because Matt's a big Alien fan. But also Dark Horse does these movie comics right. And who knows?
And it's on sale in time for Alien Day,
right?
Which is the 26th.
Alien Day. Then that's it for Dark Horse. Moving into a publisher we don't really talk much about, Coffin Comics, with their release of Lady Death Unholy Ruin #1. New story, new format. News that her beloved mother, Marion, is being held captive leads Lady Death straight into Gore Galore, a horrific twisted reality show televised throughout hell that pits the diva of death against hordes of cannibal serial killers, supernatural slashers, and even former allies. It's a suicide trap masterminded by the Hellborn Elders to swipe Lady Death off the face of hell. Can Lady Death prevail and be reunited with her mother? Meanwhile, Hell Witch and her Hellborn army descend into extract revenge, featuring the return of a beloved character, the introduction of Mr. Atticus Morrow, and reintroducing War Angel. So, for all you Lady Death followers, it's a pretty big deal coming out of there. This all the same readers that read Vampirilla and all that sort of stuff. Lady Death, we've had on the shelves before.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Vault Comics with the release of Deep Roots #1. This one's pretty interesting, guys. Roots, once suffocating under cement, tear through the streets of London to throttle buildings. Vegetable homunculi hold up banks with automatic weapons. There is a green and blooming world beyond our own, fighting back against the human pollutant. We will launch a rescue mission to this other world, but it is cruel and unknowable. And should we become tangled in its vines, more than cities will fall. From Dan Waters and Val Rodriguez comes a story of two worlds, of myth and man, of science and fiction, and the roots that they share. So it sounds like a pretty wicked, like, Swamp Thing apocalypse that's happening to
It's the
London.
happening.
Yeah, basically it's.
But instead of the trees creating a fog, they create homunculi to just.
It's a really depressing movie. But anyway, this sounds like a really a much better idea. Deep Roots #1, and I mean Vault is coming out with some pretty interesting stuff recently, so it wouldn't hurt to look into that. And then coming out of Dynamite Entertainment with the release of Jeepers Creepers #1. That's right. All you people who are fans of the really it's not even really campy.
Well, it did get campy till like the second or third one.
Yeah, but the first one was
great.
First one was great. Yeah, it's basically just a scarecrow demon that eats people every 23 years. Grad student Devin Tolson is writing his dream thesis on myths in American history. But when his research takes him on a journey reaching back centuries, Devin found something horrifying, something that crosses cultures, locations, and areas, something that returns for a bloody feeding every 23 years. Will this young man's investigation uncover simply an urban legend, or will he become face to face with an immortal monster that has terrorized humanity from the shadows since man first walked the country? Yeah. Where'd you get those peepers? So yeah, Jeepers Creepers #1. I think I'm gonna look into that and save it and then read it for Halloween.
Read it while you're watching the original Jeepers Creepers movie.
Yeah. If you haven't
and
seen
listening to Meet the Creeper on the Rob Zombie soundtrack at all of it at the same time.
Talking about that ever since we've been reading the synopsis on this.
Like we pulled it up and I was like, hey.
Yeah,
totally.
You should put this song in. Yeah, sure. Like, just ask Rob Zombie. Hey, can we get the rights to yours?
Moving on from there, we're going to get into Titan Comics with Factory #2. Sue's still super excited about this Mad Max meeting Fallout comic.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
We've talked about it before, but that's just so excited for something like that to be out. Moving on from there, also out of Titan, we have Forever Free #1. Brief summary: based on the award-winning Forever Free novel by Joe Haldeman. Surrounded by a society that is too autocratic and intrusive, living a dull existence which cannot compare to the certainties of combat and feeling increasingly alienated, the veterans plan an escape to the future by means of space travel and relativity. But when their ship starts to fall, their journey becomes a search for the unknown entity responsible. Interesting. I like it. Sci-fi, trying to escape.
Forever Free.
Moving on from there, we're going to get
Stoked
into
for this one.
DC Comics, Batman and the Signal #3.
What?
So, Batman and the Signal is a great thing. Finally giving Duke his own costume and all that fun stuff.
He is the Batman. Well, he's the Signal, but
he's the Bat Signal.
He's the daytime Batman.
As the sun sets, chaos erupts, and the Bat family jumps into action to help the Single, aka Duke Thomas, honestly, it should be to help Duke Thomas, aka the Signal, against the mysterious Gnomon.
The Gnomon.
And his minions. While his allies keep the battle going on the streets, Duke must go above and beyond to track down the malicious man who has single-handedly caused a dangerous boom and meta activity in the Narrows. Little does he know, Gnomon holds the key to his past and the future of the heroes of Gotham City.
Gnomon.
I feel like it's a Digimon. Gnomon.
Gnomon. Oh no, it's Gnomon. But I'm enjoying the Signal. It's a good read.
Yeah, Duke Thomas is a great character.
Right.
This is one I'm super excited for. Also out of DC Comics, Mother Panic Gotham AD #2. Yes. So we talked about #1. Mother Panic's been doing really well,
right?
Especially out of the Young Animals series. I mean, there's a couple of them that consistently do very well, and Mother Panic is one of them. Speaking of Mother Panic, last year around MegaCon, I got to meet the writer. Jodie
I was about to
Hauser.
say Jodie Hauser is a really good person.
Yeah, she's a really nice lady. got a couple #1 signed by her last year.
Yeah, I got my Mother Panic #1 director's cut, and #2 signed by her.
Nice. Yeah. I have #1 director's cut, like a variant #1.
Nice.
Yeah. Moving on from there into Marvel Comics, we have Thanos Annual #1.
Yeah.
Donny Cates and various other authors. Jeff Shaw and various other artists. With the cover art by Jeff Shaw. And it is starring Cosmic Ghost Rider. And it looks like the cover art, a giant Thanos about to stomp the New York City skyline.
Yeah. I like it. I'm about it.
That's dope. So it is. Thanos is likely the most evil being in the universe, and if anyone would know, it's the all-new Cosmic Ghost Rider. Let the spirit of vengeance be your guide on a tour through the worst of the worst as he reveals the most heinous deeds ever perpetrated by the Mad Titan, or by anyone else. Marvel even is putting on a parental advisory for this comic, which that's kind of surprising out of Thanos.
I'm enjoying this. I'm buying that. I'm buying that, and I'm putting it in my brain.
That's not something you see a lot out of regular Marvel comics. Moving on from there, we have another Donny Cates Marvel comic with Doctor Strange Damnation #4 of 4. So this is a key issue, being the last of the Damnation, at least the Doctor Strange Damnation run.
Right.
It's Damnation Nation. Mephisto's on a hot streak that won't stop. A team that's facing what fallen, while more of the country falls under his influence. So another big deal.
Right. I mean, anything with Mephisto in it is a big deal, in my opinion.
Anything with Donny Cates writing, it's a big deal in my opinion.
And it's Donny Cates writing with Mephisto.
And Doctor Strange. Is it Loki still?
I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up
with it, so we'll get back to you on that one. And then I believe this is the last Mighty Thor for at least a couple months. Mighty Thor #706. It is the finale to the Death of Thor run. I would say the last issue is definitely a big one, but this one being the end of the run, because in the previous book there is no Mighty Thor for like 2 months. I don't think they're doing one. They're taking a break while they get everything organized to bring back the regular Thor character. So in this story, this issue is getting into like what remains of Jane Foster's story and where do they go from there, etc., etc., etc.
And what remains of our story is the 9.9 no-brainer!
So, I think it's mine this week, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. Super exciting news for y'all. The no-brainer this week is Marvel. The Hunt for Wolverine #1. So this is the issue starting the hunt for Wolverine to bring the original timeline Wolverine back to us. So that's exciting. Not that old man Wolverine hasn't been doing great.
Right.
But it will be nice to get our Wolverine back. Brief summary of this: the return of Wolverine begins here, providing the first piece of mystery that will leave no corner of the Marvel Universe untouched. Just as the X-Men have finally come to terms with Logan's death, they learn a terrible secret. Old wounds will be reopened, truth questioned, and an epic quest begun. The earliest clues to the mystery of Wolverine's return are laid down here. Who will solve it first? This is another Marvel comic getting a parental advisory, so exciting.
Oh, okay.
Originally rated T+, but they updated it to have a parental advisory.
I wonder if Wolverine finds Wolverine first, like how Iron Man found Iron Man first. Like basically, it was like the hunt for Iron Man, and Iron Man just appears at his mother's. I found me. Help.
So, big deal. Starting the hunt for the Wolverine comics. It's good times. Good times. Marvel's making a lot of good moves. We'll see what they do with it.
Yeah, well, just like any smart collector, you buy the #1, you you sit it out, and then you always want to make sure you get a number 1, number 2, and get multiple covers of issue 1, because you never know. Like cover D will be like the most collectible variant. It's all about who's doing it, how cool it looks. There's a bunch of different variables. But
cover A is your safest bet if you can only get one, but it's always good to pick up as many of the covers, especially on a number 1, as possible.
you want to get cover A to be a purist, and then you want to get
Nothing looks better than 00111.
correct. And then you want to get the other things that look the most appealing, because it does, like the attractiveness does sell. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover in comics, because the cover doesn't necessarily have to. It doesn't always reflect what happens in the comic. It's just where artists can express themselves. That's why most artists like doing covers, because they have more room to express themselves. They don't have to follow a story. They can just be like, oh, that's what's doing. Most covers are a metaphor for what's happening.
That, and it's great for a lot of artists because all they have to do is that one picture.
Right.
They do that one image really well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's awesome. I mean, look at Scotty Young's like covers.
Scotty Young's a terrific
Scotty Young
cover
covers are huge deals, but he's very rarely a cover.
Tony Moore does really good covers as well.
Yeah.
So I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you. Remember to like and subscribe and comment, and of course share to your friends. Get your collector friends in on the deal so they know what to expect in the future. Also, invite your friends to the Facebook page 9.9 Comics with Chris and Kyle, so they can get updates, or just in case.
And random.
Yeah,
news.
and if something's gonna happen, like if there's something happens and the show's gonna be delayed for a week or something, you can know and not be sitting there waiting for it to be uploaded and it not happen. Like it happened like last year in the hurricane, we didn't have the group, so we weren't able to tell you guys. But that's what that's for. And of course,
it's a great place to share news like that we don't get to always talk about in this show, like new Green Lanterns.
Right, except that's going
like
to happen in the far future, and then we remind you again on this show.
Yeah.
So, with that, we bid you adieu and have a good one.
Have a good night.